Welcome back to the news at 10. There's the need to prepare for the future, and one way to do so is investing in young people. In the aviation industry, this fact is not lost on Medview Airline, which is already putting plans in place for the sustainability of its operations. At a ceremony to decorate 4 of its pilots in Lagos, the Chief Executive Officer of Medview Airlines, Munir Bankole, said the carrier is committed to manpower development.
Manpower development is critical to the survival of any industry, and aviation is not left out. From airport ground staff to cabin crew and the pilots who man the big birds, there are laid down regulations to follow.
Put your hands together for Captain Jita. Thank you.
Here at this short ceremony, 4 pilots with Medview Airlines have followed the strict regimen and are getting new wings as they move up the ladder. 3 as captains and 1 as first officer. The head of operations for the airline sheds more light.
We can take people as low as minimum from the school. Captain Brimo joined us from Asman as senior first officer. After about 3-4 months, he came in with a minimum requirement for a captain. But they go through on the right side just to see our system. He went through the training, went through the evaluation. He finished his training, and now he's flying as a captain.
The decoration of the pilots followed.
A round of applause for Captain Kabinda.
It's been rigorous training, and it's been very intensive. As you all know, aviation is very regulated and safety is very key. And so you know that aside the company regulations, we are actually internationally also regulated.
The management, it's special to see young people move up as part of plans for the future.
These are Nigerians, and these are people that need future. And we are growing, and we'll pass on to someone. So this is a window that we want to tell the people that you put an investment for tomorrow, you have a solid foundation when you pass on.
The occasion also provided Medview Airlines the opportunity to appreciate the federal government in supporting its planned incursion into Dubai, despite the efforts of the United Arab Emirates government to truncate the plan.
Now, the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Ismaila Zakari, is asking professional accountants to take the lead in formulating practical solutions to the nation's economic challenges. He made the comment at the ongoing 47th Annual Conference of ICAN in Abuja, where he appealed to members to support the federal government's whistleblowing policy as a means of reducing financial fraud.
It's the 47th Annual Conference of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICAN, holding at the International Conference Center in Abuja. The hall is full to capacity with chartered accountants, captains of industries and government officials, as both the president of ICAN and the chairman of the conference committee call on members to adapt to modern technologies and lead the way in finding solutions to the nation's economic challenges.
Visionaries never go out of style. So if you want to remain relevant, we have to adapt to the technological wave of the 4th Industrial Revolution.
The theme of this year's conference connotes that we chartered accountants should be ready to lead the way, combining our talent with strategy to bring together like-minded stakeholders to brainstorm and strive to formulate practical solutions to our nation's problems.
Then, the representative of President Buhari cast the tape, a tradition which symbolically declared the conference open. Next, the representative of President Buhari and the president of ICAN speak to the issues of cybercrime and the whistleblowing policy of the federal government.
We are also calling on government to tweak their own whistleblowing policy to be whistleblowing in advance, not whistleblowing in the past. That will help to stop the issue of corruption in advance so that it doesn't happen. Not after it has happened and the money has gone away, then the whistle will be blown.
Billions of dollars, and in the case of Nigeria, in naira were being siphoned and taken by cyber criminals. So there is need really to bring that onto curriculum and then to coach our accountants and financial managers.
Over 4,000 ICAN members are attending the 47th annual conference in Abuja with the overall objective of helping to build the nation's economy.
The founder of Lift Above Poverty organization wants the government and the private sector to work together to promote the growth of small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. The organization's chairman and other economic experts agree that it's time for Nigeria to harness its demographic dividends rather than waiting for a few international companies to arrive from abroad. He was speaking at the 24th annual LAPO Development Forum held in Lagos.
It's heartwarming that some Nigerians are still deeply passionate about upscaling the critical mass in Nigeria's demography, the SMEs.
The next person will do 1 minute.
This is the 24th in the series of public discourse midwifed by Lift Above Poverty organization to strengthen SME capacity for growth and development of the economy.
We need to remind ourselves that the small and medium-scale enterprises have propelled our economy as a great deal before the advent of oil economy. SME have been and remain the engine of growth of the Nigerian economy.
We're looking for big corporations to come and set up, and that's important. But most people work in SMEs. In all countries, including some of the most advanced industrial economies in the world, including the United States.
If you find that you have population growing and you have these numbers increasing of these people who are constantly asking for jobs that are not created, and it keeps exacerbating over time, it creates a social problem.
Many from the conversation here couldn't agree less that the SMEs have to be made the center of government's economic policy.
People at the bottom end of society have a lot of potential, and the more you engage them, you realize this, and therefore they require support, whether finance or capacity development, to realize those potential. That for me has been the moving force behind my engagement in that sector.
People are educated enough and appropriately. They will see the opportunities and they will see that the risks are manageable.
It's not all about helping the SMEs. On their part, they have a role to play. Quality is an issue, education, preparedness, technological interventions, and more. However, in the final analysis, as LAPO has advocated, a more coordinated effort will help galvanize SMEs for inclusive development.
And we have more business news for you. Here's Melinda Akinlami.
You first. First Bank.
Many thanks to Joma. Welcome to Business News. The World Bank Group has denied reports that it disagreed with Nigeria's Finance Minister, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, over the borrowings by the federal government to finance infrastructure projects in the country. A statement from the group's senior economist for Nigeria, Gloria Joseph-Raji, commends the government's efforts to rebalance its portfolio in order to lower the cost of borrowing. She expressed the institution's full commitment to help Nigeria strengthen her ongoing economic recovery efforts and achieve sustainable and inclusive growth. The Senate Joint Committee on Customs and Marine Transport says it has recovered 140 billion naira from some companies in the course of its investigations into revenue leakages in the Nigerian Customs Service. The chairman of the Joint Committee, Senator Hope Uzodinma, who presented an interim report on the investigation, told lawmakers that the recovered funds has been given to the Central Bank of Nigeria with evidence of payment. On November 2016, the Senate mandated its Committee on Custom and Excise Duties to investigate the activities of the Nigerian Customs Service with the aim of identifying leakages in the system. The Central Bank of Nigeria sold 133.78 billion naira worth of treasury bills at an auction today. The financial regulator offered 32.4 billion naira in the 3-month paper, 35 billion naira in the 6-month bill, and 66.38 billion naira for the 1-year note. The CBN issues treasury bills twice a month to help the government to finance its budget deficit, curb money supply growth, and allow lenders to manage liquidity. The country's debt management office also plans to sell 100 billion naira in the 5- and 10-year bonds on October the 25th. Some company news now. Tier 1 lender GT Bank has released its 9-month unaudited earnings to the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Wednesday, showing a better performance as at September the 30th. The bank's group net income grew by 56.82 billion naira from 132.74 billion naira in September 2016 to 189.56 billion naira. At the same time, profit before tax increased by about 13 billion naira to over 150 billion naira, while profit after tax rose to 125.57 billion naira in the corresponding period. Although the bank shares have gained 65% in the year-to-date return, traders and analysts expect a slightly positive reaction from the market from its latest results. It's the second day of downbeat performance for the equities on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, especially the oil and gas sector. With the details of midweek trading is Chimiji.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The positive third-quarter earning posted by GT Bank didn't quite help the market today, as the all-share index remains in the red, though marginally down by 0.08%. Again, the suspension of trading on the shares of O&O dealt a heavy blow to the markets, particularly the oil and gas sector. However, the positive inflation number released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Tuesday boosted investors' positive sentiment towards the industrial and consumer goods sectors. Transaction value was just about 3 billion naira, with a volume of 198.6 million shares in 3,543 deals. Market breadth was subdued. 13 stocks posted gains, while 21 posted declines. In terms of price movement, GlaxoSmithKline topped the gainers, up 4.99%, while NACO led the price decliners. More earnings are expected in Thursday's trading session, and traders only hope for the best. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimezie Obi Iwagu.
Major world stock markets are better across board today, with the Dow Jones rising to new levels just after 76 days. That's Business News. I'm Melinda Akinlami.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Melinda. The Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosun wants the private sector to collaborate with the government to make the environment safer. The Minister of State for Environment, Mr. Ibrahim Jibrin, also shares this line of thought, but he's asking the organized private sector to join hands with the government to clean up Ogoni land and the Niger Delta to prevent environmental degradation. Governor Amosun and the minister were speaking at the 11th summit of the National Council of Environment in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital.
Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosun, in company of the Minister of State for Environment, Mr. Ibrahim Jibrin, and other top government functionaries on a tour of the exhibition center in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. After interacting with exhibitors, they make for the Hubert Ogunde Hall at the June 12 Cultural Center, Kuto.
Here, investors from the private sector, federal and state civil servants, environment stakeholders and members of the public are all seated, ready to unlock the investment opportunities in the environment sector.
Is the governor of Ogun State, Senator Ibikunle Amosun.
The host governor makes it clear that sustaining the environment is not a task for the government alone.
Without mincing words, a collective work for all and sundry. It should not be solely left in the hand of the government if we all desire to live a worthy life that will be beneficial to the generations yet unborn. We must then ensure that we take issues of safe environment more seriously.
The Minister of State for Environment, Mr. Ibrahim Jibrin, also wants the private sector to take advantage of the investment opportunities in the sector for an overall economic recovery.
We are inviting the private sector to seize the investment opportunities existing in the environment sector, which include repositioning of the National Agency for the Great Green Wall, waste management issues, particularly e-waste, watershed management, renewable energy, ecotourism, green bond and afforestation, implementation of the UNEP report in order to clean the Ogoni land, and in the very near future, the rest of the Niger Delta.
And if deliberations at this summit are well implemented, environmental degradation in Nigeria may just begin to give way to a safer and cleaner habitation.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Rivers Angels of Port Harcourt beat Ibom Angels on penalties to win the 2017 ITO Cup Women's title at the Rangwam Stadium in Jos Plateau State. That's on sports. Stay with us.